Hello and welcome to the Subbud Podcast, your entry into the land of no easy answers, as we journey through the vagaries of the mind, attempting to unravel the mysteries of why our brains brain. Welcome to the Subvert Podcast, everyone. Oh my goodness, what's that? Oh, I got it!
Get it! Get it! You bastard! Die! Get in there!
Okay, that was the last one.
Bad puppet!
I think that was the last one. I'm pretty sure that was the last one.
All right, we're good.
All right. Okay, cool. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Okay.
So,
Just don't need that anymore. Cheers to that. Caught them all.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. All right, we're just going to do the episode, guys. Just settle down.
You are in a
settle down.
timeout.
Settle down. I'll just check it a little bit. I don't know what you're talking about. They're moving by themselves.
You
okay.
stay in there until further notice. You have been very bad puppets.
Making us chase after you guys.
Let's just get rid of them. Guys, you can't even be here right now, okay?
Okay, We've asked nicely. You guys keep swearing. We've asked for no swearing on the podcast. Only I and Kristin get to swear. Jesus. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Subvert Podcast. How are you?
Welcome back. Did you miss us?
We miss you. Absolutely. As always, I am Aaron Stewart. This is Kristin Rumor.
Hello.
And welcome to the land of no easy answers. Welcome back to the land of no easy answers. After a bit of a hiatus, and we've captured all the puppets, wrangled them back, and now we're back to start creating more madness for you. I think you can move a little bit in here.
Oh, I'm allowed back in the shot?
Well, you know, the puppets finally got out of the way a little bit, so we don't have to lean quite so
Aaron
much.
banished me from the set.
The puppets got in the way as always. It's a funny thing that they like to do. Where
They were trying to oust me.
They do that.
Yeah.
It's rather warm.
It's a little toasty,
I
yeah.
thought it
The
would be
puppet
cool.
hunt was quite strenuous, as you can see.
Indeed. Running around, chasing puppets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's been my fun-filled summer and Aaron's. Tell us about your fun-filled summer, gentle viewers.
Leave your
How many
comments
puppets
below.
did you find? I hope your summer was enjoyable and not full of mental anguish.
Or at least more mental anguish than usual. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for joining us. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a like and a share wherever you're listening. Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
Season 3, baby.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Yeah, craziness. And we've grown a lot since we started this thing, and we just wanted to say a hearty thank you to all of you for joining in to all of this. Every second you've devoted to watching and listening and being here with us, we very much appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we look forward to many more hours of this exact thing going on.
Mostly this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just juice. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just
So I wanted to talk today about starting off the new season. Our plans for the summer, which involved doing a lot more development than we actually ended up doing because, it's easy to blame on the puppets. I mean, that's all we can ever blame things on is our own puppets, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically. Well, at this point, I'm mostly blaming the heat. As most of us have been going through, it's been much too hot to even consider working in the studio, which is lacking AC, which makes plus 35 degrees, and I'm sure some of you have experienced far worse. Yeah, it makes it almost unbearable to be out doing any of this stuff. And I'm already sweating and it's only 20 degrees in here. So, yeah. So, I don't know if you had any other subject to talk about, but...
Well, I was going to talk about general procrastination, but I'm sure the heat kind of blends into it. But
yeah, well, that definitely helped with me. Like, there was just, anytime I would even consider trying to get up to, deal with the procrastination, it just ended up sitting me back down. Essentially, right? Because I just couldn't find the energy or motivation to just fight through that heat. My body just does not react well to it. So
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, that definitely added to it.
Mm-hmm.
I found there was just a general, maybe because we were on hiatus, so I was like, woo, holiday! Even though it wasn't a holiday, it was meant to be working. But something in my brain was like, nah, do it tomorrow. You can do it tomorrow. And I just didn't. And I'm sure that's something everyone can probably relate to, having gone through periods of just massive procrastination. And you know? So that's what I wanted to get into today. Start off the new season with why do we do this? Why do we put these things off, right? And in favor of sometimes just lying there doing nothing, which in all fairness is a necessity in my life. I need to do that quite a bit.
That absolutely. Well, and this is where, I think a lot of times in this kind of thing we've built around us, we don't really give ourselves that time for relaxation, resting, getting the proper kind of detoxing of this, thing that we've built. It doesn't give us a chance to clear any of the stuff out of our brains, which apparently is leading to, they just released a study where they found that apparently when you get to the point where you can't really just focus or concentrate anymore, apparently it's build up inside the brain of chemicals that essentially sleep or meditation, these kind of things help clear away, but it actually builds up the more you think. So if you overthink yourself, it actually does lead to a stress on the brain that absolutely causes you to not be able to think, focus clearly, any of that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, very fascinating
Well,
stuff.
that's really interesting because that probably ties in a lot to why we're seeing kind of the culture we're seeing now of general, just lack of motivation, laziness for lack of a better word, right? But could it just be because we're all so overstimulated all the time, right? Like everyone just can't seem to shut off their minds anyway, right?
Yeah.
Probably because we're bombarded with, light sounds constantly.
Well, and I have the particular problem of ADHD where it just makes very hard for me to focus on things in general. And so now this added stimuli around everywhere just makes it almost impossible to be able to just sit down for even half an hour and just, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's something that I can just completely shut out, right? That's the other kind of side effect of ADHD is the hyperfocus, where there are times when I can absolutely focus on things for hours on end to the exclusion of all else.
Yeah.
But, it's my brain doesn't always let me choose what those things are, right? Which makes it particularly, fun to deal with. But that also helps with the procrastination end of things where, and they've actually also, I was just reading another thing where it's mostly a matter of stress. Procrastination is a matter of us trying to deal with the stress of the situation, but instead of dealing with it now, we're instead putting ourselves into a future self, right? And then dealing
with everything.
Exactly.
That's
and then
tomorrow,
having,
Kristin's
and then having to
problem.
deal with this, sense of shame and not, why can't I do this? I need to go and do it. And you're looking at the clock and going, oh, I wish I could do this.
Yeah.
And it leads you into now having to expend kind of more energy on the procrastination end of things instead of the actual just dealing with it, right?
Right.
And it's not something that you can just go like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'll just go and do that then, right? Sadly, that's kind of how our brains are designed. When we reach that stress point, we just go, okay, I'm not dealing with it. And it's a evolutionary response, I'm assuming, right?
What would be the benefit in that response? Like, why do you think we have developed that need?
Well, I think
Or
the
that
main
tendency?
problem is the limitation of the brain. The brain uses 2/3 of all of our energy output of the day. You can run as hard, work as hard, lift as many things as you want during the course of a day, but your brain is still using most of the energy.
Yeah.
Right? Because your brain has to direct all the muscles that are being used to make that happen, right? So those kind of overexertions of ourselves, in a lot of cases, we're not used to dealing with the side effects of that. We've built this society where it's just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get back to work, right? I did a 12-hour shift yesterday by myself to cover for Z, who had done a 16-hour shift the day before.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's pretty normal. You're hearing that in a lot of industries all over. There's just everyone's expected to work a lot longer and a lot harder.
And it was a pretty quiet day, but we're also dealing with a specific instance in BC where our distributor for the liquor board has gone on strike, which essentially means that the cannabis store that I work in has not received anything in 2 weeks. And we're essentially going to be out of business probably as of tomorrow. So on top of there being by myself all day yesterday, it was having to explain to pretty literally every customer that came in why we don't have anything in the store. Right?
Yeah.
And it was already, depressing to begin with that we're, being throttled by the government, because this strike has cut off the only means for us to be able to actually, and in British Columbia where we're kind of known for our weed. It just is this really stupid situation to be in where we're in a store that can't get weed in BC. And it's just like, I could walk outside and find weed, but apparently we can't get it because the government has decided that they can handle this and this is how they're handling it. So
yeah. Well, and it doesn't lessen people's desire for it. And I think that's a huge thing, is people's expectations still remain here. Of like, oh, I just want exactly what I want and I want it now. And it's forcing everyone to kind of have to scramble to try and meet this expectation, because we're stuck in a very archaic, in my opinion, very archaic way of thinking of this customer is always right. And I think that was true maybe, but right now it can't be. Because it's just not possible, right? Like we're only human beings, and we're only capable of producing so much. We're only capable of working so hard to actually like harvest and distribute and package, and then in the retail end to be selling it. You know what I mean? And so if things are crumbling, it's somewhere along that stage. We just need to say, okay, we need to reassess. And it goes back to that, how can we slow down a little bit if we've created this culture of everything is just go, go, go all the time, push everything to its
lazy?
Maximum. Well, yeah, and you are called that, right? I'm sure, please chime in the comments below if you've ever encountered this, for taking a break or asking for a day off, heaven forbid. Like these things that people then come back to you of, oh, you're selfish, you're lazy, you're entitled, And this seems to, this just from my observational standpoint, but I see this happening quite a bit. And how do we then respond to it? How do we change it? How do we get out of that mindset of, questioning yourself when you're met with that? Because I know I do, so I'm sure you guys do too, where it's, am I lazy? Even when I was just talking about during this break of not doing as much as I set out to, it's, am I lazy? Is this an entitlement issue? Is there something I should be doing harder? Right? And deep down, I know that's not true. Deep down, I know that I'm actually working very hard and producing the best I can to the best of my abilities. And it's okay to actually just rest.
Yeah, and for me, I've always I've liked the little ducky analogy, where like you see me on the top where I'm a duck just kind of floating across but what you don't see underwater is those little feet just churning away.
Yeah.
Right? That's me, right? Where I try to keep this, hey everybody, how's it going kind of thing here, but in the back of my head is just this constant just drone of just things going through all the time that I just have no means of really just shutting down very well. I mean, the meditation kind of helps.
Yeah.
But even that is still just, right? It's just basically having like a million hertz cycle thing rolling through my head all day, every day, that you can just sometimes bring down to 99,000 or 99 million, but it never actually just slows down, which, I mean, I kind of figure is a feature of my brain, right? Like it's one of those things where I've always kind of wrestled with, like, is this what I'm supposed to be? Am I supposed to have this kind of just like, going brain all the time?
Yeah.
And is that supposed to be, like, would I have been able to do this if I didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking one of the, we're going to start trying to branch out a little bit here. Tell us in your comments where you'd like us to go, but I'm going to probably just start talking, like just having little conversations with you guys about my ADHD, and hopefully we can just start branching out and help each other on how do we find strategies of coping with that, right? So look for ADH Me, I think will be the name of it. Yeah, where we might actually just start.
Well, that's what we're trying to do is, all of our episodes, it's usually something one of us is personally dealing with and trying to, throw it out to the audience, the larger audience, because I know that all of you guys struggle with these things too, or
None
know
of
somebody
you
that does.
procrastinate. You're all awesome.
Yeah.
None of you.
No one knows what we're talking about.
Yeah,
they can't relate to this in the slightest.
No one ever could have accused you of being lazy. We get that.
Yeah.
It's our thing. We're just trying to, elucidate the other side of things where we realize you've never experienced it, but other people might have at some point.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to, see the other side of things. Yeah, and I think that's kind of a universal. There are even the people that you would think are constant goers still have that back in their head where they're going, am I really just lazy? Right?
Well, I think you brought up a good point about, like the little ducky analogy, because I think that's true for almost everybody, just maybe to a certain difference in how fast they're swimming their feet. But I feel like everyone is just constantly stuck in their heads, right? I know I have a million thoughts a minute. I know I wake up almost every day, and as soon as my eyes open, my brain's going, what do you have to do today? Okay, whatever. Yeah. And it takes effort to actually just go like, whoa, brain. Whoa, girl.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's gonna be fine.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Right? And it's
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I truly do think it's because this culture we've created of like, you must constantly be doing. You must constantly be working, producing. And I think that's sunk in for me anyways, because I literally wake up already feeling stressed and guilty, even if I literally don't have much to do that day, you know? And it takes me a while to like calm myself down to then get to the point of, okay, all of this stuff that you woke up now in a panic is not urgent. You know, it's okay. Yep. Make yourself a coffee, sit down, read a book. Life's going to be fine. You know, so I'm curious to hear about other people if this is something that happens to you as well, because no, just me.
No,
just
no.
Me.
Most of us just have going through our heads. It's just that occasional beep beep. Beep, beep. Yeah, I get it.
But like, I mean, has it always been this way, or do you think this is something that's maybe relatively new?
Well, and so I don't know. I think I've mentioned this before about the study they did about a Kenyan tribe.
Remind us.
Well, it was an article about ADHD, and they were talking about this tribe in Kenya that they had studied, and apparently in a nomadic structure, ADHD is a boon.
Right.
Right? Because you want to have someone who's constantly on alert for what's coming. What's going on? What's over there? Right? Yeah. And having that quick sense of being able
squirrel.
To exactly, but not only like that twitch reflex of what's that, but being able to quickly identify whether that's a threat.
Right.
Is a huge boon in these societies. And so the problem here is that all we have now is that we live in a different society where that doesn't necessarily help our brains to have that ooh all the time, because there's not these threats that we have to deal with all the time.
But it's changing stimuli, so our brains, as we talk about a lot on the show, cannot keep up with the pace of technological evolution. So I guess if we're stuck in that, all of this information is pinging up here as a potential threat.
Which ignites the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Which makes us harder. It makes it harder for us to actually rationalize these thoughts and things that are going on throughout the day, right? So you go back to those patterns that we've used since we were kids, instead of actually being able to deal with this situation as the unique thing that it is.
Right.
Right. And so that's where these patterns, I think, are what we're seeing a lot of the problems nowadays, where people just fall into these patterns without ever questioning whether this is actually a beneficial thing for us to continue, or whether we should actually just try to find a new way of dealing with, you know. Yeah.
Did we actually just find an answer?
Oh God, no.
I feel like we just asked a question, and I feel like we just kind of answered it for the first time.
Well, I think I think that's a chug your drink kind of thing. All right, woo, chug.
Yeah. All right, now forget it.
Yeah.
We can't be known as the land of answers. They'll come to expect.
Well, I think we do need to end the episode there then. I think that if we were to
That's
continue
it. There's
on,
no more to talk about.
if we were to continue on any further, that would just dilute the point that we've made there. Yeah, and so the point was, lost it. Okay, good, perfect. We're good to go. Okay, yeah, okay, good.
I wouldn't say it's an answer. I think we just came up with a pretty solid explanation as to why these things happen.
It's a kernel of. I think that's the thing with a lot of these things. Like, you can never really get to the truth of a lot of these things, because there's so many aspects and so many variables that kind of have colored these things over the years, right? Like, what has led us to procrastination is a multifaceted. It's a problem of the brain, and it's a problem of the thing that we've built, right? And like I said, it's just tough to be able to pinpoint where the problem is. I would assume it's me.
Obviously.
I mean, that's usually
Didn't
the answer.
Didn't all these problems start happening around the year you were born?
It does seem, it's funny how...
the world has been in a steady decline.
It was perfect up until then. We lived in Eden up until that year, and then the bombs and the war. Yeah, I guess.
All downhill.
Yeah, so I guess my 5,000 years are up, I suppose. It was about 5,000. The war was 5,000 years ago. Yeah. Okay, that was
Sure.
Everybody was nobody knew each other because they were so far apart at that point. So wars were very rare. So nomadic societies and all that. Well, yeah. On that note.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for joining us once again. We're excited to be back. We're excited you're with us. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Please comment, share this with your friends, anyone you feel might benefit from the conversation. Indeed. Yeah. It's been so long, I've forgotten how we end episodes.
There's like a Facebook
it usually
thing
rambles.
or something.
There's about 5 minutes of general
We might just have a
but...
thing here. We'll just point to whatever's popping up on the... See this thing here that's popping up? It's definitely popping up right now.
Except I'll probably procrastinate to the point where I won't edit that pop-up in, so...
It's definitely right here though, right? Yeah, that one there. Yeah. Up here? Is that it? It's up there. Yeah, here. Yeah.
It's up here, Aaron.
Yeah.
Up here.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Bye.